One of the problems that I've had with Wonder Woman since Rucka's run, she never seems to be really the main focus in her book a lot of times. She seems to be a side character. She reacts to everything else instead of making something react to her. She's never there to lead. And it happens here. I mean, Cizko and all this, and even saying Steve Trevor, Ziggy, they seem to be more important in the story than actually Diana, who just kind of flies around.
What is important in this whole thing? Because even the idea where for some reason, we need to take Wonder Woman down. We have this big bad called the Management in the background that put together Villainy Inc., who's led by Dr. Cizko here. We don't know who the Management is, but for some reason, they just get villains like Dulles, the Duke of Deception, out of nowhere here and say, new member. We're not going to explain where this character's been, how this, Silver Age character and, throughout different iterations, but what he's been up to, this Wonder Woman's, past with him, or why he's here in general. He's just here to be another freaking, a face that fans can wow at, like, oh my God, I can't believe they brought him back. I can't either because you're not doing anything with him. But the idea that you need to take Wonder Woman down. Why is it that the face of your organization, your Villainy Inc., Dr. Cizko, you're going to have him projected as a freaking 50-foot tall monster that's, invading a kid's playground, scaring families off, and having your freaking Manifest Destiny protesters coming in here, causing all kinds of ruckus, going, why would you do that if your goal is to make this guy look like he's golden?
Well, there's a couple things in here, and I'll give you the credits. It is, like I said, Wonder Woman. It's Wonder Woman 789, written by Michael W. Conrad and Becky Cloonan, with art by Manuel Lupicino and Eduardo Pansica, Wade Von Graubalger and Julio Ferreira, Tamara von Bonvillain, trying to read this, and Pat Brousseau. So you end up going into this, and the weird play is, we don't really get a really sense, I don't have myself, of Michael W. Conrad. And I think he's doing a lot of the writing here. And it's not like, if this was somebody else, just say, I mean, we know kind of how Scott Snyder writes, or a Jeff Johns. Now, again, you could say, well, we know because it's better. But if you had this kind of story, I could sense that maybe you're playing a meta deal where the organization behind everything is almost like a DC editorial that's forcing you to use these obscure characters and throw them out. That might be a meta thing to be cool, but I don't know that that's what they're doing, and they don't give you any indication. Also, the idea that, Cloonrad here doing it, they end up making Cizko so over the top, and I said this the last time we did this book, he's going too far. They're going too far with this because the things that they're saying are already ridiculous. You have guys drinking the extra milk and it's pouring all over.
Extra. Just like
milk extra.
Fuck off, soy boys. Go back, Wonder Womans, to your woman islands. We don't need you here. As they're guzzling freaking lukewarm milk. There's a bunch of psychopaths,
and
obviously.
I can tell you, I mean, I see even in this issue, I see some things where I think that they're trying to get a little bit even meta with the politics, with the social media, all that stuff. But what they're doing is they're going too far, because a lot of that stuff, you don't have to go that far. It's already pretty over the top and extreme. But then you do this, hey, soy boy, what that? And in this, there is a deal that, a certain former president at one point did say, and it's almost directly quoted in this, I could walk down the street and kill a voter and everybody else will still vote for me because that's how much I fooled them. And you have this in, but you're not, what are you doing with that? You're not doing anything to expand the story. And with that, you end up having really weird little tie-ins here. But what is the basis? The idea that you're trying to get people against Wonder Woman, it's not even that. You lose track of what exactly this whole thing is supposed to be. Yeah, they're awful and young. Go back to your island.
Well, it's such a weird idea with that. Like, go back to your island. But in this issue, they have this idea that's put out where Etta Candy is, doing all the lab work herself to figure out what's inside this milk extra. And oh my God, there's an extra additive. What's it doing to the people? I'm like, are you going to try to say at the end of this that the pieces of shit that are the posse for the Dr. Cizko and his woman haters club were actually controlled because they drank milk? Because you're already watching this guy and drinking the milk because he told you to, so they're already pieces of crap to begin with.
And that's the funny thing. They're almost playing the idea that there's, these pieces of shit are out there. But then the reason why they do this, and this is it angered me, because if you're going to go one way, keep going. Don't buckle, double back or whatever. They only do that right before they're about to attack. They're going to have a fight, and Ziggy's going to kill them. That's the only thing that is going to stop them from saying, oh, no, they're not bad. They're being controlled. We have this in every, there's some, we might be able to heal them. They do that right before. Etta finds that out right before so that you can say that, because if they end up killing these people, people will be up in arms. Oh my God, they don't kill. And it's so ridiculous because we even spelled out, well, the FDA, everybody looked into it already. There was nothing in it, but now suddenly there is.
Thank you, Etta Candy, who can't take out a college professor who you know is bad.
Yeah, Etta is now, freaking Mr. Wizard here that got extra info where they even said, they're so ridiculous. They said that this went through all of the checks and balances and nothing's in it. That was the big play.
It's a conspiracy, Jim.
Remember, the big play was, oh my God, then these people really are awful. So you can't even go that far. You have no story. So with that, what is the play here? Because stories like this, if you're going to do it, in my mind, a correct way, you're going to get something that Cizko's going to do that is going to make Diana question everything she's about. The idea, oh my God, like,
just
how about this? How about the idea with Diana where she does think they're controlled, and at the end you find out, no, there isn't it. That's more of a story of, oh my God, there is that hate out there. But now you take that away. Diana is just going from point A to point B, punching the next person she needs to punch, but nothing is there. There's never any sort of like, well, what's their real plan? Oh, why is Dr. Poison involved? Why would that be this? Why would be that? She's just going around, and at this point, it's just attacking a giant kaiju, Cizko, who looks ridiculous. Yeah, it's the Duke of Deception. Now, with that, that's why I said... But
is it? That's the thing is, it's a weird situation where Diana goes, she's going to go fly at this gigantic kaiju Cizko who's terrorizing a children's playground, and she flies through it. It's not actually there. It's a mind projection. But when she looks through a lasso to see the truth, like almost like Lionel, give me fucking like sight beyond sight, where she sees the Duke of Deception inside this construct, almost like a Green Lantern would do, creating a giant construct mecha around them. But he's hiding in there. And then somehow she loses him, and I have no idea how, but...
I mean, it was him at that one point, but what's going on? Like, oh, it's so ridiculous. Even that, I mean, I know that the idea looks through the last, I see the truth. We'll play with that in the Wonder Woman deal all along, but you don't do anything with it.
There's nothing going on. We just have to take on the Duke of Deception to this point, and you don't know anything about him except that he's amplifying, Dr. Psycho's powers with his own deception powers. But why are you trying to deceive people to think that Dr. Psycho's bad?
And that's the thing, yeah. And with that, there was kind of at one point, you just ended up having an issue that you completely set up that, oh my God, Wonder Woman, she's a terrorist. She just blew up things. She don't like protesting. She's terrible. She ended up blowing up trucks. Completely thrown away. We don't even get anything from that. It looked like the last issue had set up that everybody would be against Diana, that, oh my God, look what she did. She blew up milk trucks and she ended up hurting people, and she was against this. Now all of a sudden it's just kaiju.
With that, Jim. We have to be able to take out her support group really quickly, because even when you have the situation like Diana is going after this kaiju Cizko and his manifest fucking party,
it's just goofy.
But on the background you have Siegfried and Steve Trevor parked in a freaking van up on a hill so they can monitor the situation. Well, they're hit by a pickup truck and knocked off that hill, off a little cliff kind of thing. Like, nobody can survive that. Everybody survived that. But ultimately, the way you have them taken down is that, just think about it. Just think about a van up on a cliff, right?
They're on the cliff.
We knocked that van over the cliff with a pickup truck, destroying the pickup truck. But then somehow we back up that pickup truck. So you can back up a freaking, let's just call it a cement truck that's full of poison. So then at the specific time, Siegfried can have himself covered in green poison like he's a part of a Nickelodeon fucking show, because we can't inject him with poison. So we just have to cover him in screen like in the poison, like he said, I don't know. You can't do that on television.
Why couldn't you have had that where it's like, hey, are you okay? I don't know. Slime.
And then Steve Trevor's like, you can't do that. And she just tranks him with poison. Okay, you're out. So that's the thing, is out of nowhere, you have to get, Siegfried right at the specific point where he's not allowed to hurt any of the people because they're being mind controlled by something or whatever with the milk. But we have to get him right underneath this thing where nobody sees this gigantic truck backing up to where they were, so we can douse them with slime. But while that's going on, you make Siegfried and Steve Trevor look like chumps to Dr. Poison just for the way you're presenting. Because Dr. Poison, she's a threat. I want to make her be a threat, but the way you do it is silly sell. And on the flip side, Etta Candy at their checkmate fucking headquarters invites Professor Calculus over because, hey, the holiday girls say, you're not teaching anymore. Etta knows that Professor Calculus is up to no good, but for some reason turns her back to him and he tases her. Etta Candy is down.
Part.
She is an Argus soldier.
When you end up having the idea, oh my God, I have to slime Ziggy because, I can't penetrate his skin with a needle. Well, why then does just the poison thrown on him? Because that's the thing. You're using the needle. to get to it. Plus, that means that you didn't, they make it to be like a grandiose thing. The way that they did this, she could have run up with a bucket and thrown it in. It would do the same effect. Hey, look at you. And it's like, take him to the Globetrotters game. Oh my God, Curly Neal actually threw it at him. It wasn't confetti. And then Steve Trevor's
That's what I want.
Yeah. Steve Trevor's just sitting there like, look out above, where he's like, I think my legs hurt. I think it might be broken. He's rubbing his leg and he just gets shrank like a chump. And so then Etta, in this, a very smart woman, a very strong, ends up with her plan. Not the idea where she thinks that maybe Dr. Calculus can help them out because of a class back in the day. No, she calls him to come and visit her because she knows that he's on the team.
I've heard rumors. I also heard you're working with Dr. Cizko. Please, Professor, if there's any good left in you, we need to know where it's at. Tase.
Yeah, I mean, he's there. Just think of this. Here's the scene. You end up, it's you. You call up your professor. Also, he has been fired from the holiday for something real bad. So you end up, he shows up. He's got his hand behind his back this whole time. And he's like, oh, look at you. And she turns her back on him. She says, I know you're working with the bad guy. What's going on?
Happening?
And then he tases her. He was holding that taser behind his back this whole time.
I know you're strictly working for Checkmate, whatever that means in this DC continuity anymore, but you used to be an agent of Argus. You used to be a leader. What is happening?
That's the thing. Steve Trevor ends up coming from Checkmate, says, oh, God, what are we going to do? He doesn't know. He made up shit about Checkmate. There's no they're just sitting in an office, Etta's typing shit in that means nothing, and that's how it's played out. And then you end up having Calculus with a taser and get him. Now, in the meantime,
it's still not as bad as Steve Orlando ending his Prometheus with a random woman tasing Prometheus in the face and stopping him.
Prometheus went from taking down the Justice League to a random person there in the deal and tases him. But you end up then going back to Cizko's townhouse where he is just brutally awful to Sweetheart, which I said right away.
The mirror replicate of, Wonder Woman that the image maker left behind.
I love this play. This is, again, the idea where they can't even, connect two panels. She's there and she has like the mirror. And this is going to amplify the deal, but she has it. She's talking, oh my God, Wonder Woman. She's starting to show that she has some feelings. Cizko grabs it from her and says, listen, you stop it. Why are you so scared about the Wonder Woman? Why are you so scared? And then says a panel of the most horrific things that she'd be terrified of. Says, oh, I know that she can come and just destroy you and shatter you, but why are you so scared? It's so ridiculous the way that this plays out, that he is so over the top again, that when this reveal where she turns, and then even here she drops it. I can't hold it. It's getting hot. It's so ridiculous.
Made of glass. It can't be hot.
I mean, yeah. And then you end up where then not the soy boys, the guy with the milk, the extra milk.
The milkmen.
They're giving the thumbs down. Thumbs down to you, Wonder Woman.
But sadly, not the dead milkmen.
So what is going on? Like, what does Wonder Woman think is happening? Because they are legitimately running around putting out little fires instead of just saying, let's just take this whole shit down. Let's figure this out. Right there, when you find out there's shit in the milk, I know it's not a comic booky thing, but there's trouble to be had there for Cizko. If you just go to the FDA, I mean, it's so silly. But she ends up, I'm going to fight the Duke of Deception just to be there. And this is, again, Michael W. Conrad thinks that he can just throw characters in here. It might be Becky Cloonan with him, but it always seems like he's very proud of this. Oh my God, I got the Duke of Deception. I got the Image Maker, and doesn't do shit with them. He barely knows what they are.
Well, that's the thing, is we just have him here. He shapeshifts into Steve. He shapeshifts into freaking, Ziggy. And ultimately, he just disappears because he's not really there. And it's just, he's here for a fight for Wonder Woman without giving you context about the character or why Wonder Woman should care, except for, oh my God, it's Dillis, the Duke of Deception.
Yeah. And when we talk about things of...
He's a name drop.
When people introduce characters and things like that, sometimes it is a cool thing because it might get people to go back and read some comics. I'll give them credit with this Wonder Woman book because really when you read this, you want to read something good.
You want to read something else, whatever it is.
I'm telling you, anything that you go from this, it's bound to be better. It really is. There's not a lot that are this bad. Yeah, a little, maybe. The problem is, though, Batgirls is a fun little book, with Stephanie and Cass and Barbara's there, even though they get really tangled up in the kissy and the smooching.
All I care about is Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon anymore.
And in this, though, this is Wonder Woman. you don't have like, with that, that's one of the other things about Wonder Woman. At this point, you have more Wonder Woman books than we usually ever have. You'll have a lot of Green Lantern books at times. You'll have a lot of Superman deal. But this Wonder Woman, usually have a Wonder Woman book, but we have Nubia, they all suck.
Got Artemis coming out next week.
Suck. And at one point, DC
Wonder Woman Evolution.
And luckily, and that ended this week. So that finished that. And that was garbage. So you end up with all this where luckily for fans of Wonder Woman, I mean, not reading this is lucky, but lucky Wonder Woman's a big character. I mean, the book could suck from 10 ways from Sunday. The character won't go away because it's bigger in other media. It's a big, big symbol, all that stuff. Because if it wasn't, we would not have any, it'd be Firestorm. We wouldn't have her in the book because these books.
Where's Firestorm at? You said the magic word. Where's he at?
And so he's not around. And again, that's why, because he's not part of the Trinity. Whenever you have this multiversal Earth with you, and you have it's like Batman, Superman, and right in the front with them like looking lovingly at him, Firestorm, there like, with his hands on his hips.
Captain Marvel, Firestorm, the Blue Beetle, the Trinity.
Exactly, the new the Eric Trinity. That would be funny. Is everything else in the world is shit, but that's the Trinity, and you keep it. You're like, I'll deal with the shit, and go. It's like Homer. But yeah, so you have this book where. Enough. What is going on with this? Like, what is the main story? Because then even with that, Cizko himself isn't even, technically Well,
he's not the big bad. He's still just the face where he's not even middle management because you have middle management telling what he can and cannot do because of what the management wants him to do.
And I'm telling you, at that point, when you do end up having Etta, oh my God, there's something in it. Please pick up. I got to send it to you. That's only then when you have then Steve Trevor and say, no, these people are being controlled. We can't do that. It's like the last second deal. Things are being forced. And I can only hope and imagine because some of these things, like I said, the last issue really seemed like Wonder Woman might actually be like called out and she ended up blowing things up. Maybe they're going to have to investigate things and whatnot. And things kind of push past and you're just getting random things. I think that maybe this is almost like an I Am Batman. This book Wonder Woman won't get canceled, but maybe
new creative
their run
team
is
will come
coming
on.
to a real, hopefully. I mean, if that's one of the things that I said, talking to people. Dark Crisis, maybe it doesn't reboot things. Maybe it does. Maybe it resets the timeline. Maybe it doesn't. But when we get out of that, if they haven't already done it, if Clunrat is still on Wonder Woman and some of these other books have the same shitty creative teams, then you realize that DC doesn't give a shit, that they're not really caring about stuff because this book sucks and it's terrible. And it drives me nuts when you end up every time reading that they could just fumble into a decent enough deal, but they have doubled down. Ziggy even coming back was totally ridiculous. But the good thing about that, Deadman took a freaking siesta from there.
He took a powder,
because he was awful. But Ziggy's just there because it was the only thing that actually people liked from that first. We liked the Valhalla stuff at first, but then it went to hell.
You brought Siegfried back. You have Steve Trevor here, who is like, you talked about the idea of him having a girlfriend, but also when Wonder Woman's coming back, where he's not quite over Diana as well. And now here's a new love interest. You're not even playing a fucking triangle with this whole thing. And when you have a Villainy Inc., which is your big thing, you're not working on any of the drama and all the Villainy Inc. stuff isn't making sense in the background because you're trying to take, ripped out of the freaking pages of the headline of newspaper, something like that, be topical.
But you're being over the top, right?
Over the top and exaggerated that it's just coming off silly and I'm like, you can't write this. Stop it.
I mean, with this, you could have, Cizko do some, do stuff that's a little underhanded but clever to say, oh my God, that would work. Not just have these over the top guys that we don't know anything about. They drink milk and now they're screaming. What happens if a 5-year-old kid drinks the milk? What happens if,
he gets strong bones?
A pregnant woman drinks the milk? What happens? No, that's milk. Yeah, and what's going on? So with all of that going on, why isn't he digging into things like, okay, Steve Trevor, and really playing like, oh, look at you. They say on the surface, oh, look at you. You're a soy boy. But get to the deal of you're there. What are you, cuckold there? You got Ziggy there. Who the fuck is he? Where did he come from? There's some real sus things there. What's going on? That sort of thing. But instead, in this, kaiju freaking Cizko walking around and then still playing with, I guess they think it's either funny or intriguing, where the upper management, who Cizko does want, okay, Dr. Psycho, Don't you call me that. I'm like, get out of town. Like, come on, tell a damn story with this. And you're not doing anything. It's just stupid. It really is. It ends up being, and I hate to say that, we always joke about it's stupid, but it is. It's silly and stupid and doesn't do anything. And everything is so over the top that it ends up, you've crossed the line. It's now just goofy. It's not intriguing. It's not the headlines anymore. You're just being idiots and assholes. And there you go. That's what I say. But what would you give this?
I would end up giving this a 3.8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3.5. The art's pretty good at points, but
I enjoy it.
And what are they doing, right? And we don't read the back. That's something that some people have told me it's actually getting a little bit better, or they've liked it all along, but it's just not our cup of tea. And
Diana doing scavenger hunts is not something I need to read. I usually love
Little Diana and stuff like that, but by the time I get done with this front half, I am on no back half. You want the front rent? I ain't even giving you the back rent, Eric. That's what I say. I'm going to be leaning against the post. You're funny, too.